Okay, so Star Wars Battlefront has been out for around a week now, and one of the main complaints that I'm hearing is that there's not enough content within the game for it to last a full year's life cycle. Now, for those of you who don't know, EA have been planning a free DLC for everybody who picks up Star Wars Battlefront. Now, the reason for this is to tie in with the new Star Wars movie release, The Force Awakens. And the reason it ties in is because the planet that you will be getting is Jakku, a planet from the new film. Now, we've just got information today about a new game mode that will also be included in this free DLC, and this game mode is called Turning Point. So how does Turning Point work? Well, I can basically describe it to you as a cross between Conquest Assault from Battlefield and Rush from Battlefield. So I'll read out the description here from the EA website. Rebels need to locate and capture one of 3 control points in Imperial control. The clock is ticking, but if the Rebel team succeeds with a capture, additional time will be added and new control points will become available for capture. Moving through these increasingly challenging checkpoints, the ultimate goal is the Empire's base, where the final stand will take place. So this game mode draws its inspirations from at least 2 game modes that I can think of. As I mentioned, Conquest Assault and Rush. Now, obviously it's Rush because the Rebels are trying to move through a series of capture points in a linear line until they get to the end point, at which point there will be a big battle. That's basically the premise of Rush, where you have to move forward, capture MCOMs until you get to the final pair of MCOMs, and then they win. Now, the reason that this takes its inspiration from Conquest Assault, not Conquest, but Conquest Assault, the objective is captured by just being on the point, like a normal supremacy capture point is. And the Empire own all of these capture points to begin with, kind of like what Conquest Assault was in Battlefield 3, or the prototype game mode that was tested out on the night maps in the Battlefield 4 CTE. Now, where this description goes a little bit vague is where it says, Rebels need to locate and capture one of 3 control points in Imperial control. Now, this differs from Rush, where in Rush there are 2 objectives that you have to control. You have to capture both of them objectives to proceed. Whereas here, it looks like it's kind of implying that there are 3 control points that you need to capture. However, you might not need to capture all 3 of them to advance forward. So your team might just need to capture 1 point, and then you can move on to the next set of 3 points, and then the next set of 3 points. We don't actually know how many sets there are going to be just from this description, but it looks like from this description we might only need to have to capture 1 out of the 3 to proceed. I quite like this idea because instead of it meaning that there's like a checkbox of objectives to capture, it gives players the ability to introduce more tactics to the game. So for example, your entire team could go for the objective on the left and then have maybe a small squad of maybe 3 people who go over to the right. So the whole large team is distracting the rest of the enemy team to the left side, whereas a sort of undercover squad could go in and capture one of the right objectives unnoticed. One of the downsides to Rush is that some of the points can be incredibly imbalanced. So 1 point could be incredibly easy to capture for the attackers, and then it's incredibly difficult for the attackers to capture the second objective. Having 3 that you don't necessarily have to capture all of kind of eliminates this. It depends on how well it's balanced, but it kind of eliminates this issue in my mind. Now, whilst we know that this Turning Point game mode is going to be available on the planet of Jakku, we don't actually know yet if this game mode is going to be coming to the other maps. I don't imagine that this game mode will be coming to other maps just because I don't feel like the size and scale of those maps really cater to that. Maybe Hoth, because you've got an indoor bit, a middle lane, and then a far right lane. Although I don't really see how it could work on Sullust because the map just seems a little bit too narrow. I'm not sure, but I'm sure that we'll be getting a bit more information about this in the coming weeks. After all, the DLC is only 1 week away for those who pre-ordered, and a week after that for those who didn't pre-order. And that's pretty much all we know so far, but if you want to know more, make sure you subscribe to this channel, where I will bring you the latest and greatest in Star Wars Battlefront news, commentaries and gameplays. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.